Welcome back to What's the Call, Week 11. Glad to see y'all back. Like I said, glad we were able to get back. Not another bye week. Another good week of football this past week. And again, going to look ahead into Week 13, kind of wrapping up here, getting to the end of things. Appreciate you coming out and joining us again, E.
Of
And
course, man.
we'll go ahead and get to the recap. We'll try to keep things relatively short today. It's late right now recording this, so I know we want to get to bed, but go through the week recap really fast. A lot of dominant games this week. This past weekend, Oregon handled business like they were supposed to, and then obviously Ohio State, Indiana also handled business. Georgia handled their business. I think that pretty much. I don't know what that does for Texas playoffs odds. I feel like that knocks them out. I don't know.
Yeah, Texas, as the only hypothetical route you see from Texas now is um beating A&M at home. Even with that though, I'm not sure with what it is because of how they lost to Georgia. It I think that game basically seals it away from them. I personally don't think they're going to beat A&M anyway in a few weeks, but even if they did, Um, I think that how they lost the game, kind of sealed it for them. Getting really dominated in all parts of the game. That basically took away their playoff hopes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, Texas Tech handled business like they should against UCF. Ole Miss 10-point win against Florida. I didn't watch this game. I don't know how dominant Ole Miss looked, but I mean, I know
They
that.
got it done on the ground. Their defense was a little suspect as it's been all
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
But they really took. I think Keyone Lacey ran for about 225 yards, maybe more than that. They They just dominated on offense. They got a classic Ole Miss win. Couldn't really stop
Yeah.
anybody in the first half. Locked it in the second half, and just ran the ball really well.
Yeah. And I think that would be definitely something, as heading into the playoff that we're looking at. Just because, like you said, Ole Miss, I feel like has had that solid offense. Like they showed it against Georgia, and they've continued to show that they can score. But then again, it's like, what's their defense going to do, next time around against, a bigger opponent?
Yeah.
Florida, obviously the record is not good at all, but I would give Florida a little more credit than what their record shows. I mean, there's
Florida's one of those teams. I think they're a little different from your South Carolina and your really bottom tier, the SEC. Their talent roster is good enough to play with anyone on any given day. If they got healthy and were clicking one day, as you saw with Texas, as you saw them playing Georgia close, they're good enough to play with almost
yeah,
anybody in the country. It's just they're not good at doing that a lot. And then
yeah,
they got rid of Billy Napier, and it's been a lot of they don't turn it on a lot, but the 1 to 2 games they've turned it on, they've played with a bunch of these teams. So they're one of those games where if you don't show up, they could get you. And that's why I'm moving forward to this week. They play Tennessee at home. That could be a little tricky one for them.
yeah. Heading on to some other games, Notre Dame handled Pittsburgh. I think we all
Good game.
figured how that one would go, especially after what you said Pitt's coach said last week in the pregame press conference.
No one wants to win the
Um,
ACC. It's such a
Yeah,
pitiful conference.
it
Um,
is.
I, that's all. That's
Yeah, yeah. BYU handled business. Utah handled business. Miami handled business. Um, Virginia actually beat Duke, so I think that knocks Duke out of um, championship
Yep.
contention. Yeah.
Yep. The crazy
So,
the crazy scenario where the ACC doesn't get a team in.
yeah,
Just I think just went away for good after Duke lost.
yeah. Tennessee played New Mexico State. Could see how that went. Big one is Navy upset South Florida. And that was big for Tulane. Tulane really needed that because that shoots Tulane up into the 24th spot. I think they are right now. Um, which is funny because I just saw on social media today, Tulane's coach is like, I don't think I don't think we're a top 25 team.
Yeah,
And
he did say that.
maybe that's just him saying that just to, keep his team like, you know, heads level, not to get too I guess arrogant or cocky with it, but I think that's funny. I mean, I felt like Tulane, I felt like they've been one of those teams where I thought they were going to be the group of five team uh to come out of all the
Yeah,
other group of fives for the
it's
playoff. Like that's my
usually
prediction.
usually you see a team in the American Conference that just kind of takes the reins and runs with it this year, but it's been one of those years where there's the top teams are losing games. So I mean I think Tulane just by default has kind of stepped into that role. I think what the coach meant in terms of I mean, they played Ole Miss at the beginning of this year and got smacked. So in
Yeah.
terms of getting a playoff berth and then having to go play your first game at like a potential in Athens at Georgia or in Lubbock at Texas Tech or a number of teams, it's it's
Yeah.
basically a free game. It's a layup. I
Free.
mean,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like this year especially the mid-major team will not be competing with whatever
No.
high major team they play.
Yeah. All right. Run through some quick games. I know we already said our complaints about the ACC. Clemson beats Louisville at Louisville. Um, again, didn't watch that game, but I am not surprised with
It
how the
was a
ACC
very
has
rough.
gone.
I watched the full thing. It was a very just sloppy game, back and forth. It
Yeah.
was just like watching this game just felt like the fullness of the ACC from this year. Louisville's kicker missing two field goals near the end of the game. Clemson's punter dropped a kick, dropped a punt deep in their territory at the end of the game to give it back to Louisville, who missed another field goal. It was just like, hey, who can lose this game the most? It didn't feel like somebody won it. It felt like whoever
Yeah.
was going to lose the game, the other team just by default was going to win.
Yeah.
Um, Clemson played a little better than I guess what they have been, but it just really just kind of two bad teams going
Louisville,
at it.
Louisville,
I don't think Louisville's
it's not a
I
2020
I
ranked
just
team. No.
no. So it was that was just kind of two bad teams going at it, and Clemson happened to come out on top.
Yeah. Uh, big one in the SEC. I think unfortunately they got a lot of our hopes up and then they absolutely ran that into the ground. South Carolina, 30-3 at halftime, and they let
Yeah,
A&M come all the way back to beat them by
yeah.
one.
I don't even know really losing Nick Harbor in that game hurt, but it was one of those classic moments where they got up. I don't know if you saw the clip of Shane Beamer at halftime walking in, and he was pumping up the crowd and saying, "Let's go!" and like all this
Yeah.
stuff, and the football gods got him back immediately. Um, you had the cop, I guess, Cassius Thundercock's brother pushing Nick Harbor in the tunnel. Of I don't know if you've
Oh
seen the
yeah.
meme of the dude at Tennessee, the cop, but
I haven't
they
seen the
relieved that
meme.
cop. They relieved that cop's duty,
Yeah.
which is good. But
Yeah, I
South
did see
Carolina
it.
just I don't they just showed who they are, I guess. To an extent, it was almost more like you expected something like that to happen. I was almost when I saw that score, I was almost going to be way more surprised if they I didn't know if they were going to win or not, but I was going to be more surprised if they just pulled away and it ended up being like 42-14 or something like that because
Yeah.
we hadn't seen this all year. And it turns out it was almost a fluke in that first half. They had about everything that could go right went right. And in the second half, they literally just need to score 1 point or
Yeah.
one field goal, score one time, and that game's almost impossible for A&M to win.
Yeah.
But you didn't. So yeah, that game as a South Carolina fan would almost hurt me more than losing, getting
Get it.
blown out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
that one probably hurt more than anything. And
Definitely would have.
Shane Beamer's going to have a lot to think about going into next year, as they're not making a bowl game now. So
Yeah.
got to
If
keep your
he's still
quarterback. Got
around.
to try to build
If he's still
around him.
around.
Yeah. So he should be,
Should
hopefully.
be. I
So
just
we'll see.
think I just think it's not even really him. I just think there's been a bunch of just
It's some
factors
stuff around him.
around, like yeah.
The thing that's very important for places like South Carolina is you have to hit on your coordinator hires.
Yeah.
And he really messed up with Shula, I think, and that absolutely tanked him. I don't remember the coordinator they had, or Dow Loggins, the one they had before last year. He was a hit, and he ended up leaving. I'm not sure where he went, but he was gone, and that was a big
Yeah.
loss. I think that was underestimated how much of a loss that was. And then that showed this year. So he's going to have to do some rehiring and really try to get it right because especially in with a team like South Carolina, you have to get these coordinator hires right or you're not going to be successful.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Next SEC game. Thankfully, was my upset pick of the week and it hit. Moved me back to 5-5, I'm pretty sure, on the year. Oklahoma takes down Alabama. Kind of, I don't know why. I had a little faith in Oklahoma that, they might make a push here at the end, and they definitely needed this. I got to see who they play next, but
Mm,
hey, they win this. That keeps that very solid playoff contention. And then they play Missouri next, and then LSU. Two
Yep.
very winnable games coming off a Bama win. As long as they're not riding that high and sleeping on Missouri. Now, I
I
think
don't
it's
think
very
so either.
hard to sleep on Missouri just because, again, Missouri doesn't have a starting quarterback right now.
Yeah,
But
I think too with how it sets up. I mean, we'll go into this, I guess, more a little bit later, but with Oklahoma being such a defensive heavy team, all you have to do with Missouri is take away their run, and they're the third ranked run defense in the country.
yeah,
Um, because they cannot throw it all. They cannot throw the ball at all. If you take away their run, it's over. Alabama, on the other hand, I think this is what ended up biting them in the butt too. Alabama can't run the ball. They cannot run the ball. So Oklahoma didn't really have to do anything special to try to prevent them from running the ball. They played
yeah,
the pass. Now Alabama threw for almost 400 yards because they're a very prolific passing team, but three turnovers,
yeah.
that's gonna
You're not
hurt you,
gonna, yeah,
especially when
you're
one of
not
those
gonna win.
turnovers is giving up points. So when you throw a pick
Yeah,
six and fumble a punt return and throw another pick, or I can't remember if it's a pick or a fumble, but and not getting fourth down conversions. It's just one of those games they finally ran into one of these one possession games where they made more mistakes and it bit them in the butt. It was due to happen at some point. They played too many close games. I mean, even going back all the way to Georgia and South Carolina and Missouri was one possession, and they had so many of these one possession games that you at some point almost felt like this was going to happen. Especially since they cannot run the ball, and it was not just they couldn't run the ball against this team because this team has a good run defense. It's they can't run it against any of these teams, and
yeah,
that's going to be a big issue going into the playoff too. Because if you're a one-dimensional offense in the playoff, you're not going to be successful. Especially when
yeah.
you start playing these teams that can score on anybody no matter what. Ole Miss, Ohio State. I would put Georgia into this, but for
I'd
some
put
reason
Georgia.
Georgia can never. But just
Oh,
going against
against
that
Bama.
brand,
Yeah,
it's just yeah. But yeah, even Oregon maybe. Um, any of these teams that are trending up on offense are it's going to be hard to stop for Alabama,
yeah,
which is why I'm really intrigued in a few weeks. We'll
yeah.
get into that, I
S
guess,
S
next week. But
what SEC championship
no,
implications,
at
I guess.
Auburn,
Or oh, at Auburn. Okay.
that's the bit. They got to get through that one before they can do that. It's a night game in Jordan Hare. It's like a horror house for Alabama.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is.
would be crapping myself if I had to go play there, especially since their offense looks like it's better now, and they still have one of the top defenses in the country, and they're going to want nothing more than to win this game. This is going to be the best game they play all year. I can tell you that.
Did
Auburn's
Auburn
going to
have
come out ready to go.
a bye this week? This
They
past
did.
week?
They did. Yep.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I don't see him up there. But anyways, kind of wrap up this week. USC, Iowa. USC pulled away. Not really surprised by that. Um, Again, another close game, which literally came down to a last second field goal. Michigan Northwestern. I I kind of talked about this last week of Northwestern having that potential. Bryce Underwood for Michigan really hasn't looked that great, especially when it comes to the passing game. I think Michigan had 5 turnovers, I think it was that game, and
Oh
it's
wow.
crazy that they still won that. Um, but yeah, so they're Michigan's looking a little rough, but I swear if I being an Ohio State fan, if I bite my tongue on that, like Lord, please just we have one
I
game
want
to
to
win.
say like with the rest of us that that's going to be no, this is the year it's going to happen. But you never know in
Please,
college football. That's the one thing
never
I've
know.
I've learned the most. So
Never know. But anyways, and then last game, Georgia Tech, Boston College also came down to under 20-second field goal. Georgia Tech walking away. Golly, Georgia Tech, I feel like has been skating by so many damn games by
yeah.
1 point. Like I think they literally started the season off with it um with that Clemson game, winning on a last second field goal there. Wake Forest snuck by them and now Boston College. Like I just feel like every week it's Georgia Tech is just getting by, and if they somehow win the ACC championship and make the playoffs, I, I think they're going to get their butts whooped. That's
Yeah, we'll really see who they are next week. They're gonna play Georgia and Atlanta.
yeah.
So I mean, I I
Or is that
personally
next
have a
week
hard
or in
time with
2 weeks?
in 2 weeks. So
Two
not
weeks.
this
Okay.
coming Saturday, but the one after.
Yeah.
Uh, you'll see. I personally think they're on fraud watch. There's two teams that I was going to do this later, but I guess we'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and do it real quick since it's kind of on topic. There's two
Yeah.
teams that I feel like that are highly regarded that are on fraud watch. And that's Georgia Tech and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Now,
I
Georgia
agree
Tech,
with you
they
both
don't
of them.
have one single ranked win this whole year, and they lost to NC State at home. They're skating by Boston College. They skated by someone else too. They beat their best win, I guess, is Clemson, who is five and
Yeah.
five now, who was ranked at the time, and that's a
Yeah.
barely win there too. So the thing about them is I think their defense has regressed so bad. I do think their offense is good, but you're gonna run into a defense like Georgia or someone else their caliber in a week or two, where it's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot harder to get points, and you're gonna be running into an offense that is better than all these offenses you would play too. So I just don't like the direction that's going for them. Haynes King can only do so much, and especially playing a hot team, I,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do well against Georgia. I don't think they're going to do well. They may be able to win the ACC championship just because of the nature of the ACC, but if they make the playoff, I think they'd be an easy first round exit. I don't know how that would
Yeah.
bode for them.
They
And then
got
my other one, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they got Pitt this weekend, so that might be another loss for them. That could be a loss for them. I think that's is Pitt still ranked or do they drop out of the rankings?
No, they dropped out. They
Okay.
play Pittsburgh at home though, so yeah, we'll see. My other one though is Texas A&M. So Texas A&M this year has played the bottom half of the SEC. So this the top six teams in the SEC right now, besides A&M, are Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. They've not played any of those six teams. The only one they played is Missouri, who's arguably probably the worst one out of all that. And the seventh
Yeah,
ranked
but
team is
yeah.
Tennessee. So they're going to play Texas this week. But the teams they beat this year so far in SEC play are Arkansas, who's 0 and 6, South Carolina, who's 1 and 7, Auburn, who's 1 and 6, Mississippi State, who's 1 and 6, and Florida, who's 2 and 5. So they have dominated some of these teams, but I also am looking at these data points of, oh wow, you beat Arkansas 45-42. You beat uh South Carolina 31-30. The big one you're hanging your hat on is Notre
Notre
Dame,
Dame.
and that's
Yeah.
a great win at Notre Dame. It was at the start of the season, though. was Notre Dame's second game, and you did win because Tyler Buckner doesn't know how to hold an extra point. That's why you
Yeah.
won the game. So I and I think Notre Dame's gotten a lot better since then. So I want to hang my hat on that win, but at the same time, we have not really seen them challenged since
Yeah.
then. So I think this Texas game is going to be an interesting hurdle in for what it is because I still don't think Texas is even on the caliber of a team they would play in the playoff. I think Texas A&M is a good team, but I think they may have some flaws that we've not seen exposed by any of these teams because these teams aren't capable of. South
Yeah.
Carolina exposed some of them, but they're not good enough of a
They're not
team to
consistent
be able
enough. Yeah.
to. That's why I'm wondering if they had to play in Ole Miss, if they had to play in Alabama. I'm wondering how they're going to fare in the SC championship if they're able to get through Texas because while I do think A&M is a good team, I there's just some things that make me think, okay, they've won against two currently ranked teams, one of them being Notre Dame at the very beginning of the year, which was a great
Yeah.
win, and the other one being at Missouri, who
Yeah.
was playing their third string quarterback for the first time. So it's just
Yeah.
like there's some things that I'm really interested to see them show. And now it's not saying they are capable of showing them. I just I need to see it. Like I need to see with my own eyes and play a talented team that's held up to their caliber and see how they play. That
Yeah.
would be it for me.
I agree with you. And even that Notre Dame win, um, questionable non-holding call too that kind of bailed him out. Which speaking of, let's go into the main segment. What's the call? I got four highlights for y'all this week. Um, and I think a decent amount of these are pretty, controversial, could go either way. First one, you get this pulled up late. Again, talking about this Michigan Northwestern game. Michigan barely walking away with the win. This was a significant play in it. We got 3rd and 5, fourth quarter, minute 14 left. My personal opinion, I feel like there should have been a holding call called. That was not called, and Bryce Underwood scrambles for the first down. So let's just take a look real quick. Let me put the playback speed a little slow, and play this. So you're going to get the hold right on this guy right here. He's getting triple team. Bryce Underwood rolls out, and then big shoulder pad grab there. Now
Oh
you
gosh,
might
yeah.
be saying, now you might be saying, well, even if he lets him go, is big guy even going to get to him? I don't know, but he never had a chance. So I just felt like I was watching that. I'm like, God, like, how is that not a holding call? Like, he didn't let him grab the outside of his
I do
shoulder
think
pad,
it's a
didn't let
mishold.
him release.
It is a mishold, and that one's in a clear spot. But the thing that's just hard with there's you can almost call a holding on almost every play in a college football game to an extent.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I
guys
know
are holding, but like
you've said that
but
before.
you would want to see stuff like that, like when it's clear and obvious, you would want to be
Yeah,
able to call that. I do think they miss one
yeah.
there,
Yeah. And I just
but
feel
it
like
could
that
be.
has such a big impact on the game too. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's why they didn't want to call it, but I'm just like to another like maybe that Northwestern guy gets there and then ends up tackling him and it's fourth and whatever, but instead Michigan gets a first down, run
I
the
do
clock
think that is
out,
a
win the game.
that
So,
probably is a missed call there. That would be one that you would want to be called
yeah.
back.
Next
Yeah.
game. Have a little pass interference here on this on Bama against Oklahoma. Uh, I don't like this as a pass interference. It is a pretty big like hand fighting possession here, but I felt like the DB did a really good job. His head is turned towards the ball the entire time, pretty much, and there's just a bunch of arm fighting between the two after here. Let's show the replay here. He's already got his head around, and I mean he grabs his shoulder pad a little. I think that's what they got him, the shoulder
Shoulder
pad,
pad grab
but.
that. Yeah, that's what got it. You can't do that. Yeah. Shoulder pad when he's moving back to the ball.
Yeah,
That's what yeah, that's what right there. Because he's trying to jump back to the ball. You see the grab of the shoulder pad. That's an automatic call right there.
yeah. I guess really looking at it, slowing down, definitely see that a lot more clear. I don't think when I was looking at full speed, it's a little less obvious to tell. Um,
I
but I understand what the yeah
think that's
right there.
right
That's
there,
kind of it.
especially that's
Yeah,
pretty obvious PI. You
yeah.
can't do that.
Next one. I think this is another PI, and this one is definitely questionable. I'm like, what the heck? What did they see here? South Carolina, Texas A&M. I think this one also resulted in uh Texas A&M scoring. I think. I forget. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
Even I would even say with this game though, before even watching the play, I don't
Yeah,
think there's any call that could save South Carolina from what was going to happen in that game. It didn't matter if the PI anything.
that's
It
true.
A&M. I think A&M was going to score no matter what at this point.
Yeah. This is the PI. It's really bad.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that ball's not very catchable either, but I guess
He's
yeah,
not
that's pretty
grabbing or
bad.
anything. He's just like there's hand fighting. Like he's
But to
pushing
be
him on his
fair,
chest a
I
little
can
bit. But
it's on A&M sideline, and that probably does play a factor into them throwing the flag because the refs in it flag, flag, flag. You get I'm pretty positive. I know there's not a stat on that, but I want to say you probably get a call 15% more of the time if it's on the sideline of the team that
uh,
wants the flag.
yeah.
Especially they're getting an earful. Yeah, I don't think that's a very good call.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty subpar call. This one, also another subpar call. I felt like they called this roughing the passer. Now, this one didn't really have any impact on the drive. I just thought it was a bad call because Boston College ends up getting the first down on this throw anyways, and then they just tack on the roughing the passer, but the throw's completed at like the 4 yard line, so they literally get set up at like the one. So
Oh,
there's really not much impact. I just thought it was a pretty bad call. Um, hold up, I gotta mute this 'cause. But anyways, so Georgia Tech player jumps up in the air. Yeah, they called that roughing the
yeah,
passer,
yeah,
which
that's
um
I know
like
what I thought because it should have been that they don't like you can't hit to the head or neck area. You can't come down and hit him, but that
yeah,
should be like a push to the face or like you can't slap the straight head. I don't know if he kind of just came down on his
here's
like top of the shoulder.
that's what I'm saying here. This angle,
Yeah,
he
I
doesn't
don't know
even
if that
really
was
get his arm doesn't even
yeah.
really hit his helmet. It's more
It
of like
doesn't
I
seem
feel like
like it
he
was
gets
with
his
like malicious intent either. Yeah,
no,
I don't know if that
uh,
yeah
I
because he didn't even seem affected by it. So
Yeah, I'm like he didn't even fall or anything. Like he still completed the pass. Like he's
no,
not even
yeah,
like he wasn't even looking for the flag. The quarterback wasn't even looking for the flag. So
yeah. I don't think.
I do not think that's a roughing the passer. But like I said, that was just a bad call where I was just like, that's a bad call. It didn't really have any effect on the drive or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so that's our four. Like I said, it's going to be a quick one. Just getting through them, which is kind of nice. When I don't watch these games, I've actually been able to go in to the play-by-play, really, and I'm like searching through the fourth quarter and third quarter play-by-plays, just if it's a close game, and then usually when I see like pass interference or something, I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be a questionable one, and like 95% of them are.
You should
Um,
just go through one week and just pull out the most horrific calls you see. Not
the
even
most
make it the what's the
horrific.
call. Just how just you don't even have to
Do
call it what's the call. You can just see how
yeah,
bad the referees have gotten because it's been really bad this year as a
it has
whole.
been bad.
And
Yeah, it
so
has been
I
bad.
mean you should see across the country how and none of the referees have to stand in there and talk about like they don't like players and coaches have to answer for their bad performances. Referees don't. So
Yeah,
um that's probably why you need a system where they have to answer because they can just make all these bad calls and say, "Oh, well, should have been better, but you know, it is what it is." So,
yeah.
um yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, let's hop into week 13, which has already been started. Already got Maction, man. Midweek Maction. Um, get into
Love
it.
some
Miami
midweek.
of Ohio beat Buffalo today. Central Michigan beat Kent State. So there's a little race for the MAC championship. Miami of Ohio is 5-2. Central Michigan's 5-2. And then we got Western Michigan. up there at 6-1, and then Ohio University is also 5-2. So we got a little battle going at for the Maction midweek Maction. Um,
hmm We have a pretty slow week though, other than that, and as a whole, getting ready for a loaded uh end of the year rivalry week. Hate that saying that word, but there's so many meaningful games that week, so it's just gonna be a little slower this week. I mean, I want to say out of the top 10, a ton of them aren't playing. Basically, cupcake.
yeah,
So the SEC's having its Big Ten schedule this week. They're playing all their cupcake schools. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. See it. We will.
but
We'll see. We'll see how that rolls during playoff time. We'll see how that rolls
that's
during
not well.
playoff
That's
time.
not the point of that jab. That's not. There's the point of that argument. There's never been any issue. The top of the Big Ten is the same as the top of the SEC. It's just the bottom of the Big Ten is so much worse than the bottom of the
Wait,
SEC.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Like I would never argue that like, oh, Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State are just so much better than Ohio State and or Georgia, Alabama, and Ole Miss so much better than Ohio State and all those teams. Like they're all near the same, if not
Yeah,
one has edge on the other. Like it's just the bottom part that's the rough part. But
yeah.
um,
Yeah, so this is going to be kind of a down week this week. Obviously, like you said, a lot of SEC teams are playing their FCS teams just before their big rivalry games. But anyways, I guess starting off the day or starting off the week, I already covered the action that happened. Um, Friday, not really too many big games. Florida State, NC State, Hawaii, UNLV. We're not really too worried about those, except apparent. Hold up, Hawaii's in a battle for the Mountain West, 4-2. So is UNLV.
yeah,
So maybe,
it might be a
maybe that
that's the
actually,
best game of that. That's the best game of Friday, definitely. It's
yeah,
better than
that's
Florida State, NC State.
100%. That is the best game of Friday. That might be actually one of the better games of the week. Just looking at this week, Ohio State Rutgers at in Columbus. Ohio State should do their thing. A&M
Ohio State will win.
Sanford.
They'll win 42-7 off of three plays. Either run up the middle, pass outside, slant.
Jeremiah Smith slant, yeah, or
The three.
Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate post, just either
Well,
one
if
of
he's
those.
playing,
Yeah, I know that I
if
forget
either one of them are playing,
it
they
unless
could, but they can just sit both of them, be fine. So, um, they'll win. That
we'll see what
not
happens.
much to say with that.
Texas
Missouri,
A&M, Sanford, yeah, and then
Texas A&M, yeah, no, Sanford, yeah, we don't even need to worry
yeah,
about that.
Sanford's freaking 1-10. Jeez.
Missouri at Oklahoma. Um, I don't think this game is set up well for Missouri, considering they cannot pass at all, and Oklahoma is one of the better rush defense in the country. I don't think Oklahoma's going to score that much, but I see them winning like 24-7, something along those lines. Very low scoring game. But I think it's just a defensive shutdown by Oklahoma, and I think they'll get the win going into the last week against LSU with two losses, looking to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Next game, heading to the ACC again. Virginia Tech, Miami at VT. Will the Hokies be feeling some type of way after having James Franklin officially come visit the school and be announced as new head coach? Who knows? Um,
It's always
you know,
interesting to see Miami actually leaving the state of Florida because they
yeah,
hadn't really
yeah,
fared well when they've done that
no,
this year. But I think Miami will. I think they'll win. I just don't think Virginia Tech is good enough to give them an issue. I think Pittsburgh may be able to give them an issue a little bit, but Virginia Tech's not good enough to. They should win pretty handedly.
yeah. Big Ten, Minnesota Northwestern, just kind of a regular game. Louisville, SMU in the ACC again. Uh,
Right.
SMU right now is playing for that ACC championship, so
Mhm. I think
shoot,
SMU, yeah,
that's
I
a
think they'll get it
big
done.
game
It's
for
at
them.
home. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like SMU in that one.
Wake Forest versus Delaware. Apparently, Wake Forest doesn't have a conference record. Well, I guess they're just not showing it because Delaware's not a conference opponent. But anyways, Wake Forest should handle business. Iowa State, Kansas. Obviously, Iowa State very underperformed this year from what their expectations were, as they were. What was that? Was that last year? They were in the Big 12 championship. Was it Iowa
That
State,
was last
Arizona
year. Yep.
State? Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Coming off that Big 12 championship, they definitely, yeah, underperformed big time this year.
Yeah,
Um,
not really. Looking ahead, not really anything else till about 3:30. We have the game of the day, USC Oregon. Um, USC has been a terrible team on the road this year. We're just looking back through this. Lost to Illinois on the road, played a sloppy game against Purdue on the road. Should have lost to Nebraska on the road. I think they may have if Riley didn't get hurt, and they lost to Notre Dame on the road the 4 times they've been on the road. I don't really expect them to magically be able to turn this around against probably the best team they played on the road. Maybe it was Notre Dame, but Oregon's on that caliber, and I
yeah,
think Oregon's looking for that statement win to submit their playoff bid. So I think Oregon gets this done. And to be honest with you, I think they cover that 9.5 spread. I think they make a statement win here and just announce their name going into the playoff.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I think Oregon should handle business. Maybe USC has something up their sleeve they haven't shown us, but Oregon should handle them. Notre Dame, Syracuse, again, not really a big
35 and
game.
a half point spread.
Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Maybe Kentucky can
I think
do
Kentucky
something,
will play
shake
with
it
them for a
up.
half. They've shown they're progressing, getting a little better. I think Vanderbilt will win, but I think it's going to be one of those sloppy games like they played Auburn. I think it may go into the fourth quarter, and you're looking at like, oh, that Vanderbilt Kentucky game's 24-21 right now.
Yeah,
It's kind of close. So, but this is a must win for Vanderbilt. Hopefully they're not in a look ahead spot for next week at Tennessee, but they have to win this if they want any shot at the SC or the playoff. So
yeah, they got to win out.
I'll expect for them to get it done.
Yeah. Arkansas at Texas. Maybe Arkansas could finally put up a one on
This
their
is a sneaky
conference
one. Yeah.
record.
So they've played a ton of SEC games close. They've gotten blown out by a few teams, but this is more on what version of Texas shows up. I don't know if they're still expecting to make the playoff or not. I don't know how their building feels about that, but if they come out flat, this is one of those teams where it it could be a fourth quarter game before you know it. Now Arkansas's defense is so bad, I don't think they can stop the run. I think Texas will be able to get the run going, but it's just one of those games for Texas. I could see it going a lot of different ways, but you got if you don't wake up for this one, it could be one of those games where you're like, golly, what are we doing here? You would hope as a Texas fan that you just take care of business going into that last week against A&M, see if you can pull off an upset. But this is one of those games. If you overlook it, it could come back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah. Michigan State, Iowa. Michigan State again, 0-7 in the Big Ten.
Team is atrocious.
I
Get Iowa
Iowa's
all
been
day.
playing well. Should win that. Duke, North Carolina. Yeah, I forgot Bill Belichick was coaching. North Carolina's non-existent. Duke probably should win that one. Any other big games? I guess Tulane. Can they stay alive? They play Temple. Hopefully.
Nice.
Kansas State versus Utah. That's at Utah. I think Utah should handle business again.
Watch out for the Chanticleers at South Carolina. Coastal Carolina at South Carolina this weekend. Spreads 23 and a half. Ah, it may be
You
a little
take
big.
taking the Chanticleers on the spread.
I think they may cover that one. Yeah, that may be a little too big for my liking.
Yeah.
Especially since South Carolina's offensive line can't block anybody. So
Free
we'll
rushers the whole
see.
game.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, and I obviously haven't watched any Coastal Carolina football, but yeah, 23 and a half does seem like a pretty big spread for a Sun Belt conference that I'm surprised most of the time the American seems to beat them out for the group of five. I always felt like the Sun Belt is a relatively strong or might be the strongest group of five conference.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just how they fare over Sun Belt teams, how they fare over Power Four. Your American teams beat Power Four teams a lot, and just in the American in general, you had Memphis beat Arkansas this year. You had South
yeah,
Florida beat Florida. So you
yeah,
have a lot more teams in the American beating, and your best team JMU lost to Louisville. So like
okay, yeah.
you gotta as a conference knock off a few of these
Shoot,
Power Four teams to be taken serious.
I forgot we covered that game.
Yeah.
That Louisville JMU game because
Oh
JMU
yeah.
doesn't know what the hell they're doing with their two
The
quarterback
dual
system.
QB system,
Yeah,
yeah.
which I will say Purdue has switched to that too, and oh my God, it's not good. It's like predictable what they're going to do on third and short or fourth and short. QB draw, bring in the running cube quarterback. It's going to be a draw. Um, start wrapping things up here.
At Georgia
Pittsburgh
Tech.
at Georgia
Mhm.
Tech. Should be a good game. Tennessee, Florida. Another. I know that was a upset
Watch out
alert.
for before Tennessee, Florida, Nebraska at Penn State this week. Just a blind react. Don't look at it. What do you think the line on that game is?
Well, I just looked
Nebraska
at
at
it. I already looked
mm,
at it.
okay.
I
The
would
Penn
have
State's
honestly I would have guessed that like Nebraska would have been favored, but clearly
Penn
Penn State
State's
is
favored
favored.
by 8.5.
Uh-huh.
Penn
Yeah,
State is
that's
favored by 8.5 again in this game, which is I think Penn State's going to win it, but 8.5 is a fat number, especially since you're 1-6 in Big Ten play.
yeah,
Um, Whew, yeah. Tennessee, Florida, like you were saying though, I think that's going to be my upset pick of the week. I think Florida's going to get it done in a pride win in the swamp, 7:30. This is the last. I don't know if they play Florida State home or not um, this year, but this is like your last gasp SEC game because you're not making a bowl game. It's impossible. So this is your last real game of the year until you have a new era next year with a coach. So I think these fans are going to be there just to enjoy football. And we'll see what type of Florida team comes out, especially with all the injuries. But I think they got one more trick up their sleeve. I think they may get Tennessee.
yeah. That'll be a good one to watch, and definitely upset alert there. Just like we said before, Florida's not a terrible team, but they've just had kind of bad luck. Uh, last, I guess you could say so-called big game, BYU at Cincinnati. Man, I want the Bearcats to be good, but again, last week against
Cincinnati's had
Arizona,
a they seem to have a trend where they look good with the middle of the pack, and when they play a big team, they
yeah,
can't hang. And I
yeah.
think that's just how I think it's going to go the same way.
They do have
Um,
an opportunity though to ruin BYU's playoff hopes. I
yeah.
guess maybe not completely, just because I think it would be then if since he beats BYU, then it would be between BYU and Utah for that second spot in the Big 12. And I think BYU has the upper hand on that, right?
I think Big 12 is going to end up playing their way out of a two bid
Yeah.
league just on the basis of whoever has to go play Texas Tech again is not winning. I don't think
No.
Texas Tech is going
Yeah.
to get beat again. So, I mean, because what do you put in a two-loss BYU? Because that's going to be in the same conversation as Notre Dame and maybe a
Yeah.
two-loss Oklahoma team and maybe a two-loss um another SEC team, like two-loss Vanderbilt. Like these are all going to be the teams that are bunched up at the end of the year. Miami. So does BYU have enough wins to supplement that with just besides Utah? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But the conference championship week's gonna be crazy. Going off of next week, especially, because a lot of the teams that really matter. The SEC championship is gonna have to come down to like a fifth tiebreaker in the tiebreaker system to figure out who goes. There's all
Jeez.
these different mathematical situations because there's no head to head.
Yeah.
It goes down to like a fourth or fifth stat. In fact, I was watching a video the other day, where it was between Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss to get the second spot of um, the second spot in the SEC championship. Since Ole Miss didn't play Alabama, you can't do a head to head since they're all
Yeah.
tied. So it goes down to another statistic, which would be common opponent. They all three have not played one single common opponent. So then it goes down to the next statistic, and it ends up getting to a statistic where it's win percentages against teams the whole year. And Alabama's win percentage against their teams they played combined, their winning percentage is 48%. It was like 25 and like 25 and 28, something like that. And Georgia's was 46 at 24 and 29. So it's like literally so
Yeah.
close to a fraction of an inch off of and how certain teams do fare this week and next week will determine it. But it's going to be rivalry week is going to be have
Big one.
more juice
Yeah.
to it than it has in a lot of years because depending on how those games go is going to
Yeah.
make up a lot of the playoff.
Playoff. Yeah. Well, I think I was between two games for my upset pick. I think I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh this week. I think Georgia Tech has snuck by numerous games. Um, I just think Pitt might be like obviously they weren't really too focused on that uh Notre Dame game last week, so I think they might have been putting a lot of their attention on this game this week. So I think Pitt might be able to take down Georgia Tech, which shoot, if Pitt wins that, they're still in the ACC championship conversation
They
too.
are.
I think we would end up getting what, a Pitt versus SMU ACC championship.
Virginia, probably.
Virginia's in there too. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Virginia.
shoot.
I think
Might-
Miami's mathematically played them way out, their way out. I don't think it's
Yeah.
possible for them because the
Well, it depends. You would have to have like,
SMU would have to lose
well,
two more games.
Georgia Tech would literally have to lose this game, and because they play Georgia next, which is non-conference. So Georgia Tech would either have to. So this game's going to knock out this Pitt Georgia Tech game is going to knock out one of them, obviously, because somebody's bound to lose this game. They're both 5-1, 6-1. Then it just comes down to is SMU going to lose and is Virginia going to lose?
Yeah,
Virginia might look the strongest out of anybody,
yeah.
because they actually
Miami
been able.
since Miami or
So
SMU has the head to head over Miami, SMU would
yeah,
have to lose two more ACC games, so they have to lose
yeah,
out to lose their
yeah.
spot. Which I don't think they
I don't think.
will.
Yeah,
They play Louisville would probably be the best chance for them to lose.
yeah,
Um, Let me see who they play next week. Louisville will probably be the best chance for them to lose, and then they close the season at Cal. So those are two very winnable games.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I think it'll probably be
Um,
Virginia, SMU, or Georgia Tech. I mean, it should be Georgia Tech. Georgia
should
Tech
be,
wins this week,
should
they're
be.
in. Georgia
Yeah,
Tech wins this week, they're in.
there.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, so we'll see that may bring a
but
lot of juice for them to win
yeah,
it, but yeah, again,
but.
then again, it's the ACC, so
That's what I'm saying, and I know Pitt. I know Pitt a little bit is like, oh, we have a chance to spoil their championship hopes and
yeah.
boost ours.
Hmm.
Um, so shit. Imagine Pitt wins ACC.
That'd be crazy. They're getting blown out by Notre Dame.
Oh gosh, yeah. But anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Looking forward to, I guess, another week of college football. Yeah, it's a down week, but we still got a couple bigger games spread out in there. But again, appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we are definitely looking forward to getting that episode in next week with a big rivalry week coming up. I know we're gonna have a lot to say. That episode might run over a little more than our typical time just because it's going to be a big week. A lot of action is going to happen. But catch y'all next week. Have a great weekend and enjoy the games.